the building blocks to the universe, the building blocks to our world, two distinct things. There's two things that's been previously talked about, and that's the world of objects, which is the natural world, and the world of subjects, which is our personal world. Doing yet again another recap. If you are new to the Power in the Mind's Eye Ideas to Results series, it's just in the natural world, we use the framework of the forces of the universe, that being time, space, energy, and matter. And we use the forces of elements that's contained within this earth, but also can be seen outside of earth as well. And that being water, air, earth, and fire. There's something that I want to talk to you guys about. And this is something that I came across fairly recently. And I'm talking about right now, the date of this recording is November 14th of 2024 on a Thursday. It's 11:21 a.m. specifically because honestly, I do a lot of pre-recorded stuff, but I don't upload everything that I record right away. If it's in my spirit to upload, then I'll do it. If it's not, then I won't. I'm being very, very discerning with myself with the information that I present. But today we're going to be talking about the systems of nature, which I came across through a dude named Carl Linnaeus, who created this systems of nature. And today, I hope that we get a deeper insight on who we are. I hope we get a deeper and clearer insight on the nature of which we came from, which is something that we talked about before. That's essentially all we talk about here. And anything in regards to purpose served is that every single thing serves a purpose, including yourself. So if anything exists, there's a reason for its existence. And before we go into bridging the gap and building a structure and building a solid foundation to build upon, I want to highlight this man's work, which was critical for my understanding and what I'm doing, to be quite honest. So buckle up, get ready for this ride. So this work that he was doing was pretty much classifying things in our natural world. And he broke this down into three different kingdoms when it comes to animal species. Now, like I said, this is a person that is not a subject matter expert in taxonomy, but my curiosity led me here. And the three different kingdoms that he broke this down to is, in its order, the mineral kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, and the animal kingdom. And I'm going to read to you guys some of the descriptions that he put and some of the ways that he was led here. And something that I've also highlighted in the past, and I'm going to keep highlighting, and is that you got to honor the creator within you to recognize creation itself, because we didn't create ourselves. And by literally the definition of nature, which we dive into definitions all the time, is by definition anything that pretty much exists before humankind. So existing in or caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind. So the framework, like I said, that I used previously for the natural world was time, space, energy, and matter, and water, air, earth, and fire. because those are things are not something that we've created, but we was born into the world through all of these forces that we need. And if you remove any of these things from existence, all of existence in this universe itself would collapse if you was to take any of these things away. If you was to take the earth away, we wouldn't have a home. If you was to take the air away, we wouldn't have a way to breathe in a consciousness that essentially is the ether, the information that holds everything together and flows everything through. And for example, if you remove water, we 100% wouldn't survive. Our body is made up of majority water. But the way that this world is structured is our bodies is a microcosm to the macrocosm of the universe. So, for example, the way that our spine, it grows from the brain is similar how a seed is equivalent to the brain, and out of a seed a stem is brought forth as if it was a spine. And this is why I say you guys got to take the time out and step away from your phones. That's a challenging thing, but in order to really deepen your understanding within yourself, look at the world around you. Not something that's artificially created to make you feel a certain type of way, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. But a lot of the technology that we use and how we use it, it's used in a way to not necessarily challenge our thinking, not necessarily to challenge our beliefs, but we tend to find what fits our algorithm, what's agreeable with us, what's digestible to us. But when it comes to something that challenges any of those things, we shut down. We build up a defense mechanism instead of understanding things for what they truly are meant to be understood as. So enough with me rambling. Going back to the three kingdoms, this is an excerpt from the Systems of Nature, which it was really hard to find a translation of, because the original work was written in Latin, and I don't speak Latin. I don't think anybody speaks Latin anymore, even though a lot of languages derive from Latin. I think English is one of those that derives from Latin, Spanish, Italian. But this is yet again me rambling. Let's get back to it. Empire of nature, awakened, as if from a dream of ignorance. I have seen darkly as he passed the eternal, infinite, omniscient, almighty God, and am amazed. I have read of him and some traces of his wondrous works, the smallest of which, though comparatively insignificant, even to a degree of nothingness, evinces the most incomprehensible perfection of power and wisdom. I have observed that the animal world depends for its existence on the vegetable kingdom, that the vegetables draw their substance from terrestrial matter, and that this last originates from the earth. The world moves in an undisturbed orbit around the sun, from which it is supplied with genial heat, the fountain of life. The sun itself revolves around its axis, accompanied by the planets, and the whole systems of the stars, and inconceivable vastness of number and dimensions suspended on nothing, all move through free space by the meditation of a force derived from the great first mover, the being of beings, the cause of all causes, the preserver and governor of the universe, the Lord and architect of this vast mundane system. Should we to this incomprehensible power give the name of fate, we shall not err, for on this everything depends, shall we call it nature. We are right. For from this everything derives its being. If we say that is providence, we say truly, For by its guidance, the universe accomplishes all its operations. All is sense, all eye, all ear, all mind, all soul. Everything is in him, and he in all things. Beyond this, even the conjecturers of fancy are bewildered in their attempts to investigate. The deity is equally eternal and beyond conception, infinite, neither begotten nor created. He, without whom there is nothing, who have begun and completed everything that is, who both fills our eyes with wonder and eludes our utmost observation. He is only to be seen by humble contemplation of his perfections, for his glory shines in a splendor of holy and impenetrable retirement, to which only the soul have access. That is deep to start off, and he keeps going on about essentially the wonder of God's creation. And not only that all of this has to stem from the mind of God. And like I said, I stumbled upon this fairly recently, and my intuition has been guiding me to this understanding. And if you're familiar with my work and you're familiar with the Purpose Earth podcast, we all know that before the brain came to be, the mind had to create the brain. Everything that's tangible started in an intangible state first. And for me, I had to find people who dedicated their lives on claims like these that's very, very similar to mine. And the people that I've come across is a gentleman like this, somebody like Isaac Newton, and his systems of the world in the universe. And not only that, this also points to a religious experience as well. And not to even deeply dive into this so we stay on track, we are talking about the creator of all creations. And if you want to deeply dive into that all mind, the all soul, just simply search up the Holy One. And you should find scriptures in the Bible that's going to come up. It should be scriptures coming from the book of Isaiah. If you are unfamiliar with scripture, it should come in the book of Psalms. I believe in Ezekiel. And there's hints to this and pointing to this. And it's also pointing to an actual physical person and not something that's in the mind as well. And it's the character of Jesus of Nazareth, who walked this earth and talked about these very same things. We most likely going to be talking a little bit. No, we're definitely going to be talking about this in the near future in regards to the Holy One. But today, that's not the point. Just stay on track because there's a lot to go over. But due to these remote bodies and everything, it's a system that relies heavily on every single thing that is around it. And continuing on reading, the stars are the most remote, lucid bodies of the creation which revolve in a perpetual motion. They either shine by their own proper light, as the sun and the other more remote fixed stars, or they are planets deriving light from other stars. Of these latter bodies, the primary planets belonging to the solar system are Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Earth, Venus, and Mercury. Some of these primary planets have secondaries or satellites, which follow the motions of the primary round, which they revolve, as the moon round the Earth, and several others of a similar kind. Neither can so vast a machine subsist without a preserver, nor can a regular course of the stars be produced by the impetus of fortuitous cause. Where did I last leave off at? I apologize. For whatever is set in motion by the effect of chance will frequently have its progress disturbed and must speedily be jumbled together. So essentially saying that if these objects is on its own free will, a mistake would have been made at this point already and jumbles everything up and disturbs everything. And it would have to pick itself back up rather quickly in order for it to be what it is now. The elements are the most simple natural substances. Of them, the atmospheres of the planets are composed, and by them, in all probability, the spaces between the stars are filled. It breaks down the qualities of the four elements. It says fire is luminous, resilient, warm, evolent, and vivifying. Air, transparent, elastic, dry, and circular, generating. Water, diaphanous, fluid, moist, gliding, conceiving. Earth, opaque, fixed, cold, quiescent, barren. Thus, the whole order of this world is formed from confusion. Insane. Insane. This is how he breaks down the kingdoms, the three kingdoms that I was talking about. Natural bodies consist of everything that springs from the hand of the Creator and which enters into the constitution of this world. These are divided into the three kingdoms of nature, the boundaries of which meet together in the order of zoophytes. Minerals are concrete bodies, neither living nor sentient. Vegetables are organized, living, and sentient bodies. Animals are organized, living, and sentient bodies, possessing the power of spontaneous locomotion. Nature does not confine her operations to one form, but delights in variety. She renews one figure out of another, not contented with uniformity in procedure, and rejoices in undiminished power. The earth, as has been already observed, is composed of three kingdoms of nature, which constitute what may be called her empire. These are the mineral kingdom, which in rude masses occupies the interior parts, being generated from salts. It is accidentally mixed together and fashioned by chance in the ground. The vegetable kingdom clothes the surface of the earth with verdure, imbibes moisture through bulbous roots, breathes the air by its quivering leaves, celebrates nuptial festivities in a genial metamorphosis, and continues its various kinds by the dispersion of seeds within proper limits. The animal kingdom adorns the external parts of the earth with sentient beings. These have voluntary motion. They respire, produce eggs by means of generation, are impelled to action by the cravings of want, by the delights of love, and by sorrowful pain. They likewise restrain within proper bounds the numbers of animals and of vegetables by preying on both. So in this, you see a system where everything fits perfectly together and everything is needed for a reason. And without one thing, we don't get the next. So without the minerals that's within the earth, we don't get the vegetables that clothe the earth. And without the vegetables that clothe the earth, we don't get animals that walk the earth and graze the earth, that fly in the air, that swim in the water. All of these things play a huge part. And not only that, we fit into that as well. And this man that I just named found purpose in what he was doing when he was looking around at the world outside of him. He literally looked at it as God's creation. But not only that, if you guys do your research on this God, you're going to see that he had a really rocky uphill battle when it came to putting out his own discoveries and him shining his own light within his own purpose, because it went against the grain of what was being taught and what was being learned in that time period, which I believe was in the 18th century. So we're talking about like 200 to 300 years ago. And essentially speaking, his work had to do with taxonomy and naming things and categorizing things. And going back to the good book and the very first book, Genesis, the book of beginnings, we see that Adam had the same task as this dude Charles did, where he was in charge of naming all the animals and naming all the birds and naming all the fish and naming all the plants. That's a huge responsibility. That is a very huge responsibility, and that was one of the first responsibilities that was given. So, with that being said, you have to point this out within yourself and be a great observer of the inside world that was given to you and the outside world that was given to you. And it is your duty to listen to that and shine that light, something that I preach here all the time. So this is yet again an extension of the natural world. I want to call this part 2. And I'll be talking to you guys soon. And also, I will be putting a link to the description. In the description, a link to this reading if you guys are interested. I believe that if you guys take the time out your day in a little small window and flip through a couple of pages, it is a very, very tough read. And especially if it's hard for your mind to focus, especially if you're also not into reading. But I encourage you guys to push past that. Learning is important, reading is important, and there's a wealth of knowledge that's within books that you're not going to find in a 30-second reel on Instagram or TikTok. Investigate yourself. Investigate that eternal light that we all share, because it all comes from the same thing. It all comes from the mind and hands of the Creator. Every time we wake up, we experience that. Every time we draw that breath, when we first wake up, we experience that. Don't overlook that breath that you took this morning when you woke up, and every single breath that you took to get to this point. Everything that you do is leading you closer to your purpose, which is leading you closer to your Creator. Talk to you soon, and the next talk we will be starting to build on this foundation and talking about symbols such as a circle, a line, a triangle, and a square, and how we're going to use that symbolically to shape purpose around that within our personal world, and how we can see that in the natural world as well. I look forward to talking to you guys, and God bless. Serve your purpose.